Okay, so tonight I have a um strange story. I call it Roulette. It's an old teen story from my time. Back in the year 2011, 2010, that was the year that the singer Miley Cyrus came out with her Wrecking Ball video. And at that time, there was this one viral man that dressed up like a woman and began contacting and showing up on this website called Roulette. And that was the first time that my state of Idaho had heard and known about the website's popularity called Roulette. That website was then known for national online connections of different people, women, men, it didn't matter who. The only rule was that you had to be age, I think 18. I think 18 for legal reasons. And then that was it. But many teens would lie and then show up on screen because you could text message or you could video call, and it was really popular at that time to video call on screen. And well, that song Wrecking Ball and that man with the brown long hair and the silver the silver ball acting of him like being on screen with a white outfit on and kind of a look-alike of nudity. That's what made that website popular. And so many people began liking the idea of contacting different types of people. So I'd show up to school and hear about different people in the 3 age groups and their experiences just deciding to press, go and then see what would pop up. And I don't know, they just, many times it was just like an awkward response. Nothing really special. And anyways, so as y'all know, maybe like one person would accept the 18 age law thing for a group of teens. And that was the weekend social fun time. Anyways, I got curious. But my curiosity was a little different because I was not curious about video calling another person because I was scared, because I had heard of people sending indecent pictures, videos, and or screen recording and then sending that to other people for theft reasons or pornography reasons, etc. And so I was scared to try any type of contacting in that form. But that reason got me a little more curious about the type of outside world influence And that year, I believe I was still let's see, what is it? No. Okay, I think I was still a freshman, and I wanted my curiosity to be self-understood because I was a curious thinker. So, on my own, I began searching that website. In the year of 7th grade, middle school, had sent in an assignment detailing and explaining the FBI psychology background and group to attain, we'll just call them bad people. And hearing all those stories about the beginning of porn, theft, and new viral shares, I still was that student curious about the pursuit and pickup maneuver system. I wanted to know how that looked like. I mean, it's always a bad experience to understand that gross world. My experience did stick along with paper text than an experience live. So, what happened? I finally had my greatest Christmas gift, which was the iPod. And that was my way of going into the World Wide Web. And that time, I wanted to do some research alone because I wanted to know how and what reasons people, women, men, decided to accept at their age to enter that type of dirty space. I mean, I thought the conversation would be typical normal, or if it became dirty, then that age person would instantly stop that conversation. My experience, well, first, you lie, accept that you're 18, then you lie and hand out a trade of fake information. And at that time, there hadn't been any home camera censorship. And the only information leading back would be connected with the information for that home census, which would mean an instant paper information documentation showing that that house was paid from an age of legal age and not a younger age of teen. So anyways, so I'm in that website and I'm presenting my white blank person, because it's only text, as a woman, female, and the exciting part about that conversation is sharing those details. Same with the other person. And that other person is typically a man. So me, I'm like, I am curious to know what older minds are thinking about and what they're applying it to. And I'm like, okay, well, it's beginning from a conversation point of view. So it's not like trading sexual videos, things. So it can't be a perspective of conversation from two people that's not a normal, everyday description of their day. Well, I learned in the year of 2010 that the young, good student point of view is easily destroyed by that experience and replaced with a new perspective of the type to judge from, like me, a younger age, and looking down on another older age. So it's called Roulette. That means you put in information that's pretty simple, age and woman, man, and then it spins it off and connects you with another person searching for specific details. And then that connection happens and the conversation begins. It's a white blank sheet with the message board, and you message, wait, and then it pings, and then it's a message received. So I was always this fake woman. Like, I'd start with answering their question, and it was always an older man in their 30s or 40s always asking if I was a woman, and instantly I'd reply yes, and instantly they'd want to know the type of body, the type of size from chest down, and the color and hair size, and ask if I was willing to send them a picture. And it always, it didn't matter the age, young or old, it always turned into a sexual, not curiosity, a sexual request or sexual questionnaire. And I began to learn that old online men just wanted a sexual experience. And you know, I'm like studying their behavior and the length of time that the conversation begins to change into more needed sexual questions to the woman. Men were always faster to have it become a conversation of sex compared to a woman, because there were times that I would copy the older men's conversation style and use that line and time to the other women, and the other women would want a little more day-to-day normal conversation first before opening themselves up more interested compared to a more like lazier, laid back, okay, which is, I understood later on that it was not the energy that another man wants from a woman. And that was because like I would test it, right? So I would respond slow, wanting that normal conversation, but that would mean more times the other man disconnecting, and I'd have to start a new conversation with a new man. And the more like fake interested, and that I mean by responding quicker with more aggressive responses that fit perfectly with what they wanted, that would make that conversation quicker in responses, and the other man would respond more interested compared to slow responses, like a man's brain really energetically connected with interest, and not really responding fast only to respond. Like, that didn't happen. It was more to achieve more and more. And like, finally, right, I learned how to maneuver the conversation quicker for a specific goal. So like men would want a picture, or first they'd want the description. The color of hair didn't really matter. The chest size had to be bigger. Because they'd ask if it was a specific size. So I'm being told all this information because the other man wants those details. So you have a woman, right, on the other side who could be like, no, that's not me, right? The real woman person. Or you can be that person that just like answers yes, yes, yes to all of their fantasy. And then then count, you know, after your list of conversations, because you know you have the group that stays for a longer time, and then the group that disconnects because they got bored from specific non-fantasy disconnections. So I never sent them pictures of myself because from the beginning, all of the men, I mean older, so ew, and older with requirements and really honest and really open about those requirements. And that website was awesome because the Roulette, what's it called, like VPN, the router would ping, you know, Roulette. It would ping, plus you could say you were from a different country or a different state. So, you know, all the click-ons not to be associated from my home. And anyway, so going back to the descriptions. So if I had started drawing the figures of the women type and then added the numbers of how many were most one, it would depend on chest size and butt size, and that was about it, because it didn't matter if the woman was short or tall. It depended on if they were open about clothing styles. What's funny is that a woman would ask a man their favorite food. As if it's like, seriously, like they'd ask as if it's a really, really important question. And that question would be responded from a man, like, instantly, only important if that woman was willing to answer yes to that man saying or asking you would cook for me, right? Or how do you eat that type of food? And then, so, goal would be met, right? And then the new goal would be met. So we're building connection here, okay? Before, the disconnect. Basically saying, you're boring, I'll find a new fun time. And so finally, you find more aggressive, assertive men who prefer and want pictures. And they, that man refuses to webcam because they're not, like, cleaned up. Or I would just refuse because there was this one guy who, like, I made the mistake of saying yes to a picture because I had used a woman's picture I found online. I was like, okay, there you go. Okay. And so I said yes because it wasn't, like, that bad. It was just, like the typical, like skin tight and the jeans, the measurement stuff. And so I was expecting like a full body, and no, that man sent his thing, and it was so gross. I believe I changed a little more gay lesbian that moment because it was so gross. It was so gross. I couldn't understand how much porn was becoming popular here in the US because like that picture is very similar to, like a naked person video, and them like awkward like camera shots, because that's what the picture looked like. And I'm like, how do people become attracted to sexual things? Because those pictures were colors so dark and gross, and lightened color was not going to make it any prettier. So anyways, yeah, that picture time was an instant disconnect because it felt like I needed to throw up. And at that moment, I'm like, an older age of mine is not going to change my perspective on how I feel about that, or the the gross raw faces in their bedroom. But those men, they didn't care if it was that level of gross picture of a woman's vagina, because they asked, okay? And then I'm like, I'm a female, so I won't get, you know, like grossed from finding a picture of a vagina, you know? Like, I'm not going to be like, that gross woman area, you know? Like I don't, I don't hate female parts that I have. Like, and then, so, you know, so, like, I'm not interested, but I can, like, medically, you know, be like, okay, there you go. And still, right, in the back of my mind being like, like females, males don't really know how to be careful and know what looks better or like just awkward gross. So I'm like, okay, here's one, there you go. And I was caught a few times from the other men saying that is not the correct vagina color. match to match the body and head hair color. And I'm like, whoops. Well, that conversation is done. So, you know, anyways, so I'm sending it, right? And those men like really liked the gross picture angles And and that was just like a strange way for me to be told and learn if a man or woman thought a vagina or a thing. I mean, I didn't find any men parts, like, I'm really thinking back over here, unless I stabbed myself, and then I was like, never again. No thank you, internet. But I don't know. I didn't find very aggressive women in that website. It was always men. Always men being that level of next level aggressive. And then you just wanted more and 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 more. Until finally, I'd have to be like, can we continue a normal conversation or a new topic? And if not, then finally I'd click off. And then I'd be like, this many people, man, of the type addicted only to sexual descriptions can't have a normal conversation after this much of sexual conversation things. And literally it had become this quick list of messaging back and forth, like I said, you know, the different times, this much, and yes, it become boring because all of those people are boring. I mean, all they wanted to talk was sexual conversation, so it become boring fast. But I still was like curiously collecting that data, at the same time learning about the modern time cyber world, from different age perspectives. And then that influenced me as a teen to double check older ages and to see if their behavior in live form matched or disconnected, which meant that the rules for honesty and respect were not given. It was more social behavior manners with trust issues, because then you think, okay, so what if I am stuck alone with another person, woman, man, doesn't matter, but that new built psychological difference from online compared to live behavior, and how much of both types of life behavior leaks and influences what would be considered real behavior. Because if y'all notice, so right now, the year of 2025, that practice of behavior of separation or dissociation from online and social life outside in the world. So those differences are really noticeable. And you call it manners. But as time goes on, typically the online version of a person starts growing and taking over the real life behavior. Even if it's being addicted to your phone and just staying there and or here or, and not all are social media influencers for like real business or social organization I mean, like, like, really, like leaking in and taking over your mind, and then trying to take over other people's minds, because it's like a breaky of like trying to influence or or like subconsciously subconsciously, it just being like like a really fake new layer. So you have both still attached, but like different personalities, or similar personality behavior levels, but only used in separate places. So online and real life, outside social behavior, and then those two places start switching. And then that's when some friends, some people notice, or it's too late and then get stuck. So that is what I would call roulette. And a sickness of toxic minds, very life-like in modern times. Like, who do you think you are? Or, I don't know you anymore. Who are you? Strange world. I would not suggest to any teen back then or now, especially now, to go in and try data collecting in that form. still, the best part is to know that not only the Indian business type that showed up in that website to ask for porn, like, as quick as possible, not only Indian men, but American men and American women. Still an awkward subject, right? Please say in honesty yes, and it's not left for funny, fun times of story listening time. And no, I never gave out my name. Ever. Or picture. Or description. Because there's no reason to hand out that information for the sole purpose that another person is going to completely criticize the person that they're trying to connect with and get to know.